Hello everyone and welcome to the April 2024 Quirkos live stream. So in the session today we're going to take you step by step through starting out with Quirkos Cloud, and that's our tool that's entirely in the browser for qualitative analysis. You can bring in any source of text data, create codes and themes which are represented by coloured bubbles that grow and change as you interact with them, and they can help you understand and explore your data. And we'll look at some of the reports and exports you can get, as well as some of the other ways that you can explore the data within the web app itself. So if you go to www.quirkos.com, on the front page you'll see a link to try for free, and there's a short form to fill in to register for a 14-day free trial of Quirkos Cloud. And that's completely unrestricted in any way. So apart from the 14-day limit, you can create as many projects as you like. They can be as large as you like. There's no features which are turned off, so you get the full experience. We have different discounts for different sectors, so even though it won't charge you anything unless you want to keep going after the 14 days of free trial, you do need to select what sector you're from, and whether you want to sign up on the quarterly basis, so to renew quarterly or annually. So you'll see that there's quite a discount for choosing the 1 year sign up, and here you'll also see you can choose different currencies, and more are going to be made available actually in the next couple of months. So once you've done the registration, you'll be able to go back to the main Quirkos page, and you'll get a link here to log in to the web app. And so this will work on any browser, even on a mobile device or tablet. And all you need to do is provide the email address and password that you created when you registered your account. So this is mine. And you can log in to use the app. Now, let's just make this a bit bigger here. So what you'll see here is on the left side of the screen we've got a list of all the other projects that I've worked on. So I've got quite a lot here. You'll also see a tab here, projects shared with me. So these are projects which other people have shared, created, and then they've shared with me to work on, because you can do live collaboration in Quirkos. And you also see a tab here for the account, and this will let you change different things about your subscription, let you know how long you've got, whether you've got other added on benefits like our automated transcription service. You can also cancel the account in there at any time just with a click, so there's no way to get to that. Someone just asked how much is a 1 year sign up for students. It varies a little bit depending where you're from. There's also kind of discounts on a 25% basis for people coming from other countries. So we just have a quick look here. So the student 1 year in US dollars is $60 for a year. So that gives you kind of an idea. The 3 months is $24, so you're saving quite a bit by signing up for the year. But if you don't need it for that long, you can always choose the 3-month subscription. And we'll also talk a little bit later about how to turning the codes into themes and getting overwhelmed with codes. That's a good question as well, I can see in the chat, thanks. So we'll get onto that in a little bit later. So what I'm going to do now is, if you've not worked with it before, just take you through kind of creating your first project, bringing in some data and starting to explore it, and then we'll look at some of the ways to kind of manage all your codes and themes when you get there. So I'm going to click now on the new project button here. I'm going to create a new project. I have to give it a name, so I'm going to call this one April webinar. You've got the option here to put a password on the project. This will add an extra level of encryption to it. So if you're working with confidential data, we do recommend that you do that. Click on the create button here, and then we've got a new project here. The project is called April webinar. We can see the title up there. And basically in Quirkos, the screen is split into these kind of two operative areas. The left side of the screen we have what we call the canvas area, which is where the codes and themes are created. And on the right side of the screen, we will put in the sources of text data that we want to analyze. So at the moment it says create new source, select existing one. So we don't have any data in the project yet, so let's start by importing some data. And the main way that we'll do that is with the main menu, which is at the top left. And so clicking on this button here will allow us to go and choose any of these options here to bring in more data. So we can add sources, we can create an empty source, which we can type in and edit. We can also import, that's what most people use. So if you have a transcript already, so a Word document, a text file, or a PDF, which is for example, for a piece of literature, because you can also use this software for kind of doing literature reviews and literature analysis. You also see the option here for transcription. So there's a built-in automated transcription service in Quirkos, which allows you to upload an audio file that you have on your computer, and that will get encrypted and sent to our servers, and then we'll turn around that within 10-20 minutes in a secure and confidential way to create a text from your audio. Which is super helpful because that goes straight into your project, and then you can start analysing it directly from a semi-structured interview or recording of a focus group or something like that. But what we're going to do in this workshop today is we're going to use one of our example projects. Now the example projects you can actually find on our website here. If you go to /workshops, and breakfast, we already have that one there. Let's bring that up here too. So here we've got a series of different projects. The breakfast one we'll look at today. We've also got a qualitative research one on the Scottish referendum for independence, and one on the smartphones. So you've got all these to try and either learn the software or learn your steps for qualitative analysis. So I'm now going to go through, here we go, and we'll start importing our data. So we'll click here to add sources and import. And this will show me the links on to where I've downloaded the data, somewhere in documents. Excuse me, I'm just trying to find where I've downloaded the project. So basically, wherever you've got any text files on your computer, you can choose and upload those. So great. So there, we brought in the text from our Word document here, and this is an interview with Sarah. She says, I think we try to eat healthily. It's difficult when you have a large family. Everyone has different things they're doing. You end up having to make food quickly sometimes. So what we can do here is, see, this is a project about people talking about what they eat for breakfast. And what we probably want to do is start going through reading this and coding it. But one of the things we're actually going to do first is look at how we kind of manage the different sources in Quirkos. So we could add lots and lots of different files here. What I'm going to do actually here is click the properties button here, and the properties are ways that we kind of categorize and group together the different sources we have in Quirkos. So here we've got the name of the titles. We'll call this one Sarah's interview, and we can add a new property here with this little plus button here. When we do that, we get this dialog box, and we can create a new property, which is any way that we can basically describe any attributes to the project. A common one here might be age, so we could say this person is 33 years old, and then we've got that option here to say that they're 33, or we can type in a new value like 45. We can also have as many properties as we like, so we might have location as well. We say this person might live in Edinburgh. Other locations are Glasgow, London. We can also allow multiple choice as well. So if somebody lives across different locations, we want to represent that, we can. So now with the option here, we can say this person's from Edinburgh. Okay, and so this was a very simple way which we can group and categorize all the different sources of data that we bring in here. We may also use it for data type as well. So if we've got different things which we bring into the same project, for example, we might have interviews, we might have focus groups, we might have literature, we might have articles or transcripts from TV shows, whatever kind of data that we wanted to bring together, we can describe, and then later I'll show you how we filter from that as well. But this data is from an interview, so we'll select it like that. When we're done editing the properties of the source, we just click on this button again, go back to the main view. If we need to edit the source, for example, if we see any typos or anything in there, we can just press that little edit button there. We might just get rid of this big title here. I don't think we actually really need it. And then it saves the changes. So you can edit and you can write in these sources as well if you want to work that way. So now what we'll do is start to look at some of the different ways that we can create codes and themes and start exploring the data. So in this approach today, I'm going to do a very basic grounded theory. So I'm basically kind of creating codes on the fly as I see and interpret them in the data, to see what kind of things people are talking about and try and look at some of the different contradictions and some of the different ways that people are describing their lived experience through the qualitative data. So as I go through, I'm just going to start creating codes basically. So here we first sentence, I think we try to eat healthily. Okay, so that's already significant to me. I'm going to drag and drop that text, having selected it, onto an empty space here in the canvas area, and that will create a new quirk, which is what we call the codes or themes in Quirkos. We're going to call this eating healthily. The space here to put a longer description about what you mean by that. So instance web healthy eating, and then we can choose either from one of the kind of preset colors here or from any other color that you would like. So you've got loads and loads of different variety there, and there we've got our code. If you hover your mouse over it, you can see it says eating healthily, an instance where people talk about healthy eating, and you've also got this color coded kind of strip over here, which shows us all the different codes that we might have used across the different document. So we've got this sentence here. It's difficult when you have a large family, everyone has different things they're doing, you end up having to make food quickly sometimes. So I'll drag and drop that onto the empty area here, and I'm going to call this family issues, I guess. Not sure what I mean by that yet, but we can work on that later. Now you see we've got those two codes there. This one here on eating healthily, if we hover the mouse over the code, we can see that comes from. Another one here on family issues. I worry that when that's not left in the freezer, it's not always the freshest food. Okay, it's coming about healthy eating too. We'll also add this here. Let's talk about junk food rather than frozen food. Oops, food. Whoops, typo. Okay, so if I right click on any of these, I can choose the edit button here, and I can go back and change the color or the title or anything. Right, so we'll go back and call that junk food. Okay, great. But we can also have overlaps here as well. So if we added all this to a new code, which we'll call fruit, use a fruity color. Did we use that one already? No, good. But this can also be about children's preferences. So just because it's one piece of text, we can code that to as many different codes as we like. And this is quite a useful way of exploring categorizing your data. You don't have to have a separate code for each line of text. You can have one piece of text assigned to more than one code or theme. As you'll see, we've basically looked through one paragraph, quite a quick kind of look through the data, and we've managed to create 5 different codes already for this. And you'll see quite quickly how you'll kind of use up space. Now, as you add more and more to the bubbles, they do change in size. So if we add more and more to the healthy eating one, you'll see that that gets larger and larger. If we add this paragraph here, somewhere else, you'll see so there's a kind of relative size which indicates how much is going on. And you can zoom in and out on the canvas if you need more space and to look around. But another kind of important way to work with this data is to start creating kind of categories and subcategories. So for example, within this category fruit, we might want to actually have different types of fruit and other references to fruit. So here, what have we got? We do eat a lot of fruit. Children love apples and bananas. So let's create another one which is called drag and drop that onto an empty space, and we'll call it apples, and another one we'll call bananas. Sorry, I'm very bad at typing and spelling. Lots of N's. So what we can do now is actually create these as subcategories. So under fruit, we can have these other codes for apples and bananas. So we can drag fruit onto there, and we can drag bananas onto there. Oops, missed. Let's try that again. And we can even create other ones. If we create another one which is called oranges. It really should be orange. Yeah, that's better. Drag that on there. What colour was apples in the end? Green. Okay, that's fine. So now when we've put our mouse over the top level category, the subcategories underneath will pop out. So if somebody did mention bananas here, we can drag and drop that text first onto the top category and then onto bananas underneath. So that allows us to add anything that we like to that subcategory bananas. And you can see even under there we've got it's more about bananas than there is in fruit in general. So again, the relative size is showing us what we're coding into the project. And by double clicking on any of the codes, we can see all of the text we've assigned to it. So if I just zoom out from here a little bit, we've got fruit at the top, apples, bananas, oranges. And basically we can click on just one of these to see the code text that we coded just to bananas or just to apples, or we can see the whole project. We can also recode in this view as well. So if we wanted to select this quote about apples and say, well, yeah, it's also about children's preferences. Okay, it already was, but we can drag and drop to all the other bubbles which are here in the canvas area as well. So this is very helpful when you get to a stage where you need to create more subcategories. So maybe we just have one code called fruit at the beginning, and then we decided later on we need to split that into apples and bananas and oranges and pears. Well, we can create new codes in here as well, and we can add and recode within those. We'll just click now on the home button here to go back to the main view, and that's basically how we're going to go through and start working with and coding with the data. So one of the other things that might happen is you might want to start merging these. So somebody who's already asked in the chat, what happens when you kind of become a bit overwhelmed by the codes? Well, it's quite normal when you go through and code, especially when you've got lots of different sources, that you end up with dozens and dozens of codes, which are actually quite similar when you come to review them. So what you can do is you can either group them together like this, or eventually you might decide that actually they're so similar that I don't need them to be separated, I can just merge them all together. So what I could do is, at any stage I could pull these out just by kind of clicking, dragging and pulling the bubbles out from that view to move the grouped codes somewhere else. But I can also merge them together. So I'm just going to drag, I might as well drag them all out now here. And right click on oranges, merge, and we'll merge that into fruit. So everything that was in orange, which is actually nothing, sorry, didn't do any coding there, gets merged into that fruit one. So let's do it with the apples. Let's merge apples into fruit. And that way everything that was in apples gets put into the fruit category. So that's another way to group and code. Now there's another way that we can do these things. Actually, I'm just going to undo those changes. I've just realized I want that oranges code for a strange reason. What we can do is also create groups. Now the issue that we have here with these categories that we create when we drag and drop things on top of each other is obviously one code, one theme can only belong to one category. But sometimes you'll have things that need to belong in different categories, or you want to explore in different ways. I mean, one of the examples here is oranges is something that you can eat, but it's also something you can drink. You can drink orange juice. It's created from the same thing. So if we wanted to represent that in some way, we can do that with the views here. And so what we can do with the group, sorry. So with the groups button here, let's create a new group which we'll call food, and another one which we'll call drink. So we've created these two groups of codes, one called food and one called drink. oranges, we will go to edit here, and that will belong to both of them because that's something that you can eat and it's also something you can drink as juice. And it's the same for apples. So if we edit that, we put that into food and also into drink, great. Now if we created another one called toast, because a lot of people talk about toast in this project, we can then add that to probably just the food group, I'm guessing, because we don't really drink toast. So that way, now with the groups view here, we can turn off and on the visibility for codes based on those groupings that we created. So if we just want to see the groups, the codes which are things we can eat, we tick on the food button. If we want to see the things which are about food and drink, we can do that. If we just want to see the things which we can drink, then we can do that as well. So this gives us another very useful way to explore the data and create non-hierarchical groups and categorizations. This kind of like oranges, toast, apples is a bit of a strange way to use the groups, but hopefully you can see how you might use it in your own project depending how you're trying to do your analysis. One of the other ways you might do it is you may have a group for codes and another one later on for high-level themes. Some codes quite naturally lend themselves to become themes themselves, and others are just code is a much simpler unit of analysis, whereas themes will be something much more not quite abstract, but more conceptual and more kind of closely connected to your research question. So what I'm going to do now is actually show you another project where I've already done a lot more coding, and that way I can show you then some of the ways that you can explore and use that base. So let's go here to projects. Oops. Emoji breakfast project. I think probably this one. Yeah, good. Okay, so this has got, actually there's quite a few duplicate ones here. We've got healthy eating, we've got diets, we've got people talking about toast, whether it's healthy, different things you can have for breakfast, different things for family. And you can see here we've got lots of different codings happening, and the text has been assigned and coded to lots of different themes. You'll also see, because we've imported lots of different files in this project, we've got Sarah's interview here, which we already looked at. We've also got tabs here for Jane and Mubarak, and you can just move between these different sources with the tabs here. You'll also note here we've actually got memos. So another way that we can talk about the text is to not just use the codes and themes, particularly for approaches like IPA or line-by-line coding. We might assign some text to a particular section of text which is of our own creating. So sometimes we can do analytical writing, sometimes we can use in vivo codes. And with IPA, you generally try and create lots of these descriptive codes kind of scribbled in the margins and the comments before you'd actually start creating codes. So that you may take that approach. Then we may also use the memos just for your own kind of interpretation, your own kind of thoughts on it. So you might say, sounds like this person is frustrated. Good. And we can add these to any part of the text, and wherever they show up, they will come again with a memo. So it's another way to annotate the data. There's another analytical writing tool within Quirkos I should show you, which is the chat here. So there is a live chat if you're collaborating on a project, because you can work on at the same time with people. But you can also use this to send messages kind of backwards and forwards if it's you're working sequentially, but also just to, if you're working on your own, to record your own notes and comments. So here, for example, you might just say, already have lots of codes, need to start merging, grouping. So if you were going to keep your own kind of research journal, research diary, then this would be a good way to do that. Anyway, let's have a look now at the coding. Now we've done kind of a lot more work on it. If we look at something like toast, it's quite a lot of quotes for toast. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, loads and loads of quotes for toast. And it may come to the stage where when you come to write up, you want all of the different things which are in there to be copied and pasted into wherever you're writing up your data. So here, what you can do is click on this tick button to copy all the quotes that we have about toast, copy them, and then if we create a new Word document, we can paste those directly in there. So they come in here, the quotes with the attributions of which source they came from, and that will show us all the data which we had under that toast theme. So when we're writing up that section, that's where we can get our quotes and evidence of what we found in the data. You may also only want some of them, so you can choose with a tick box for each quote which one you want and which one you want to take with you. So that's the basics of kind of getting those quotes out there. But let's also take a little look at some of the ways in which we can look at just some sections of the data. Now, if you remember earlier, we created properties. They'll be slightly different in this project. We've got the name, we've got gender, age, the city they lived in, and also this data type. So this was the interview transcript. And we can go back to the main view by clicking on this button here. But let's look at some of the ways now we've done some coding in the data as to how we can use that. So clicking here on the filter view, this allows us to kind of query the data and just look at parts of the data in the project. So one of the things here we can do is add a criteria for, let's look at the city. And we'll see what people in Belfast are saying. Okay, and these people from Belfast talking mostly about diets. Toast is the thing that they're talking about second most, and dislike. So these show us the number of quotes, the number of times an extract of text has been coded to this theme of diets. And what we can actually do is also split the screen in half. I'll just have to zoom out. Sorry, I've zoomed in for the streaming. And if I can look here at a different city, let's choose Edinburgh. That's where I am right now. Okay, we can see, okay, we've got a side-by-side comparison here. So, okay, in toast is also the most popular one. Okay, well, diets doesn't feature as much here. So we can start to look at the difference between it, but also we want to go back and we want to read the kind of the qualitative difference as well. So when people are talking about what they dislike, are there big differences in what they dislike, or is it that they are disliking certain things more than others? We can start to look at that by with this sub criteria. We can also, of course, copy and paste all the quotes here as well. So if you want to get the quotes for everything people in Belfast disliked, you can do that. You can also have more and more criteria here. So maybe you want to see just the people in Belfast who were above a certain age. So you could do those kind of things as well. Or just what the men in Belfast said next to the women. Then you can kind of refine that more and more as you wish. So now I'm going to start looking at, we zoomed out, didn't we? Now I'm going to start looking at some of the ways that we can export the data as well. Some of the other ways that once we've done our analysis, we might want to start thinking about writing up and working with the data in other ways. And probably the first of those that I'll show here is the report. And we can generate that just by clicking here and then clicking on the report button. And basically this is a very comprehensive, sorry I have to zoom out again, kind of look into all the different aspects that are in the project. So all the different sources that we imported, excuse me, the titles, the dates in which those codes were created, whether there are subcategories here as well. We can see also some graphs about the properties, so the different participants that we have in this project. So here we can see that there's some data missing that wasn't coded, but we do have a roughly male and female split for the ones that was coded. Views of the age, data type. We've also got views here for the canvas, how the text is sorted by theme, so everything under a particular code with the quotes and where they came from. And there's lots of options here to customize the report and how much detail there is. So for example, we might want to include all the properties here. So for each time we get a quote, we can say that it's, yes, this was by Mubarak, they were male, 28, from London, etc., etc. We can also customize the layout of these, or how the formatting of the project looks. And there are also kind of graphs and other visualizations of the bubbles, and we can also show bubbles of the relationships between each other as well. So when we're happy with how that looks, we can print it. You can also use the print button to save it as a PDF file, save it as a HTML, so a web page just like this, or also as a Word file if you want to get the data and the quotes especially into a Word table to export. So that's one of the export options. One of the other ones which is quite useful is the Excel export. So this allows us to see all of the data in an Excel file. So here's all the quotes. Each quote is its own row across there, and we can use the sort tools or the pivot tables here to put everything in a particular order, so we can see things about toast and time. And from this we can do any kind of further subset analysis we want to do, or if there's also things like statistical analysis we want to do, we can do that here as well. We also get an export of the chat log, the memos and the text that they're assigned to, and also a lot more information about the quirks, how often they appear in different sources. So that's very useful, kind of another comprehensive kind of output. Another export option we have here is the Word document, and this basically creates a Word file, a standard Word file which you can share with anyone, which just uses the comments feature in Word to represent those color-coded highlights and show how and who interpreted and coded the different data. So we've got all the different sources that we put in here, and this is a very good way to kind of share with someone else, or print out and take away from the data if we want it. So we'll close that as well. So that's really the basics of kind of using Quirkos. That's basically how to take it from the start, from everything from signing up to the trial to working with different sources of data and importing those, creating and managing those codes and themes, and then looking at some of the ways that we can use tools within Quirkos to explore the data, annotate the data, and also to export the data ready for us to write up and share with anyone else. So if you've got any other questions or anything else you'd like to cover today, please just drop it in the chat. Someone's also asked for the student-based pricing for the UK. So you can see this here as well. It's £18 for 3 months, or £48 for a year of the cloud subscription. There's also an offline version as well, which has a permanent license, and you can see the difference between the different licenses and pricing types here. So you've got the cloud subscription, but there's also the offline version as well. Now that's only based on an app that you can install on your computer, but if you want the data to stay on your computer and not go anywhere else, that's a great option. It also has a one-off permanent license, which means that you don't have an ongoing subscription. So you can choose whichever is best for the kind of project that you're working on, and however many different people, how many different projects you might want to work on in the future as well. So I think that's all I was going to show you today. There's a lot more information available on the website as well. We've also recently revamped the documentation page, so it's a lot clearer, with a lot more kind of categories so you can jump in and learn just to do a particular part of the analysis. There's also new video tutorials, a search in here as well, and we've also launched now a free qualitative research course which you can take on our website. So this covers all the different aspects of qualitative research, so designing and gathering data, managing and handling the data, analysing and transforming the data, and then writing up. We'll also talk about epistemology and meta issues, but it's a really fun guide too as well. It's very visual, it's got lots of links to other resources, video guides, and also interactive elements that you can use to learn and explore these different aspects of all the qualitative data, and also different approaches and ways to analyze the data. So it's completely free, it doesn't need any registration, and it's just a resource that's there to help you if you need to use that at any time. So I hope this was useful to you. Do go on and check the other video tutorials if you need a little bit more information, or always get in touch with us at support@quirkos.com. We're there 7 days a week for email support, so do let us know if we can help you in any way. But otherwise, go to the website, give it a try today, and let us know if we can help you with your qualitative research journey.